Good evening, Speedgaming fans. Tonight is the last match of round one of the SGLIVE 2024 Mystic Quest Randomizer Tournament. We've got some entrance shuffle. We've got random quests for our random companions. I'm Scar. I'm joined by Frido Potato. How are you doing, Potato?
Doing well, doing well. I hope everybody's excited for this match. We're here hoping it's going to go to all three games. You know, these runners are very evenly matched up, so it could be very exciting.
These are also racers that know each other well. They've been practicing with each other quite a lot. Like, what, 40 seeds together they've played?
Yeah, definitely lots of back and forth as far as who takes a match over the other person. And I got to say, just starting out, this naming scheme is going to be very confusing.
Well, at least they're going with different menu colors. Possum, when he plays, Final Fantasy games, I have never seen him come off of the default menu color, and I don't think he ever will. So Possum's always blue.
Very true. And 10, known for liking the little more in your face colors here, has the bright pink, and the possum with maybe a sad face, an exclaim face, surprised face, something he's hoping to deliver to his opponent, I think. There's been a lot of talk behind the scenes between these two, friendly, of course, but you can see right there, Tin showing off the menuing, one of the distinct advantages he's going to have over Possum potentially in this race.
Yeah, Ten's does he have world record, or is he just he has held records in the vanilla speedruns for Mystic Quest. I don't know who's in
I
first right now.
I think El Magus is in first. I think 10 is in the top five, definitely in the top 10, I believe, on the any percent Mystic Quest. And it looks like we're about 10 seconds to go. Exciting. Tonight's companions are going to be Kaylee and Phoebe. I'm curious to see which one we're going to start with.
Oh, it's Kaylee, and that is that is a dreaded. That's terrible. Why
That's
is
not a
Pazuzu
great
right
starting
there?
area. Yeah, we start with a sword. That's nice. We need an axe to explore the alive forest, which is also there in the starting area. But yeah, so far, some spicy dungeons available up front.
And refreshers immediately in Aquaria. These aren't terrible to farm. One of the quests for Phoebe to power her up will be to collect 17 of those.
Yeah, 17 refreshers. Phoebe's first quest. We'll just go down the list for her right now. We've got 17 refreshers, 5 battlefields, save Ruben's dad, and defeat Dullahan. And tonight, Phoebe gets white at level 34, so the runners are going to need to complete 3 of those quests to get her ultimate spell.
Yeah, and Kaylee, the companion we currently have, her quests are to clear the Ice Pyramid battlefield, which is just north of where Ten and Possum are farming gold, defeat the Minotaur, which requires the Tree Wither Inn to know the location of the level forest and of Foresta, to visit the Box and Light Temple, which, correct me if I'm wrong, requires the Morbius Crest, and save the Crystal of Wind, which requires defeating Pazuzu in that tower they landed on at the beginning. 1,200 gold, easy money.
Nice. You love to see that. You don't want to run into one of those seeds where you can't afford the coin. It's been known to happen. We're working on that. Wildham's got a fix on the beta to keep that from happening, but we have seen it in practice. So it's good to know the seed's going to be, you know, able to have the runners move forward, kind of see more of the world before they potentially get stymied by something a little more difficult, say a Hydra. And yes, to your point earlier, Kaylee's quest to visit the Box and Light Temple requires, yeah, that Mobius crest and a claw of any sort. And then you have to know where this little hidden passage is, which can, be a point of learning for many new runners coming into this. I know I definitely had to ask on the Discord to sort of figure out how to access the spot you need to stand on for this quest.
Also of note, the Libra Temple was in the Foresta area, which means you're able to grab Phoebe right away, and with the refreshers easily available, which Possum farming them right away as he usually does just to get quests out of the way. 10 waited until he had Phoebe to farm the refreshers.
Definitely, both good ways to sort of approach it. I do know that if Possum's thinking about getting that Phoebe at any point, he's just going to get that quest out of the way.
Yeah, and there might be a point where they need to take Phoebe into the party without an opportunity to recover Kaylee yet.
Yeah, like this one, exactly right. Without Foresta, the runners aren't going to be able to re-grab Kaylee and bring her back into their party. Luckily, with these settings, Kaylee's mom handles her quest objectives. So you don't so much have to worry about ditching Kaylee. They will have to, if they decide they want to bring her back into their party for any reason. She does have Arrow at level 15, which is a fantastic spell. They will have to find her and track her down, but it's definitely a safer play than potentially switching out some of the other companions this early.
Honestly, Arrow is quickly becoming my favorite spell in this game. Like, it's got a lot of utility, and just being able to clear out the lower level enemies without wasting your wizard charges and therefore wasting seeds that you might not have that good of a supply of.
Definitely, as a black magic spell instead of a wizard spell, yeah, you end up with way more charges. Plus, I've found that there's a surprising number of enemies that are actually weak to the arrow spell, including some late game enemies like on the boat, which actually makes using Kaylee's arrow on the boat to take down some of the harder enemies a little easier than it even can be with a spell like White on Phoebe, which was surprising to me. Both runners in lockstep. Not to be surprised, really, with that quest in the first area and another money tile and experience. There's no reason to sort of pass it up without leveling up your companions as strong as you can, getting as much of the resources in the starting area as are available before sort of moving on. With that sand coin that we see that they have.
Yeah, and it looks like 10 will have cleared all three of these battlefields first, and will likely move on, buy his sand coin and move on to the Aquaria area first.
Heads up play, stopping in the inn. There's no seeds available yet, and the Forest dab bed is not, they don't know where that is quite yet. So, refreshing Phoebe spell charges, all their health, before moving on, definitely a good play. Make sure you're going into the next level with some power. And yeah, as we see chat pointing out, uh, picking up Phoebe to handle those battlefields, giving 10 a slight edge on how quickly he's able to take them down.
Yeah, the Thunder spell let him get through these encounters with Lamias much quicker because they are, in fact, weak to lightning.
Yeah, and knowing that he could just sleep at that inn to refresh her charges, with that 1,200 gold tile plus, I believe, a second gold tile in the starting area, not worried about, spending a little bit of money on an inn. Woohoo! Early
That's
mega
that's
grenades.
two that's two go mode items pretty quickly. The Morbius Crest and the Mega Grenades.
Foresta right next door to Level Forest. The runners are going to be happy to see that. It means if the Tree Wither Minotaur stuff comes into play, it's going to be a very easy quest to sort of just send. Sometimes these fetch quests turn into around the world journeys without the exit spell or the crests or towns available to quickly traverse where the tiles end up getting randomized to. And going for that freebie in the minute in the volcano, but running into a sneaky hidden enemy pack. Something you've got to be aware of if the volcano ends up in an area you're not quite strong enough to take on yet.
And is it the Kaij temple um, that you do the Litecoin at?
It is. So all they need right now is they've already got that crest. So all they need is a claw, and they could go ahead and get Kaylee another level if they wanted. Although both runners having Phoebe at this point, that may not be something they're gonna do. It'll be interesting to see. Phoebe's very strong, and sometimes you just kind of all in on her and focus on only her quests and ignore the Kaylee quest for hopes that you'll never need to utilize Kaylee. But it'll be interesting to see if they decide to go ahead and spend that time or not once it's available. Oh man, Exit. This is shaping up to be a zoomer of a seed. Exit, the best spell in the game, hands down, I think. It allows you to leave dungeons, travel back to the overworld, and honestly, if you're done with XP in a seed, it can remove an enemy from a battle tile pretty quickly or a formation, so you don't even have to worry about killing them if you're otherwise, struggling with removing them all.
It looks like our runners are going to be following each other's footsteps for a second here. They're both going to clear out the bone zone, the bone dungeon. Uh, they both have a companion over level 10, so they'll both be able to cast Life on Flamerus for the insta kill.
Definitely. It looks like Possum maybe didn't step into Sand Temple before going to Bone Dungeon. Isn't going to get that white spell off of Tristram, and will also have to wait at least a little bit and do that before he's able to see what Tristram 2 has whenever we find Firebird. So potentially a point of divergence if, the white spell very powerful, not a go mode or progression based item, but if that Tristram 2 ends up being something 10 picks up first, could make a difference.
Yeah, white, while not being a go mode spell, is just vanilla Quake. That's
Is it
funny.
even? Yes, that's a fantastic item to find there. Fairly useless spell, unfortunately, in the randomizer because of how spell scaling works, but you always love to see a dash of vanilla.
And that was kind of a thinner Flamerus. Flamerus having 2200 HP in vanilla. It's always nice to see how much it exactly rolled when you do the insta kill.
I love just shouting out the number, yeah, whenever I roll it, because it's just great to one-shot this boss. He's not typically hard. In the first area, you can run into him, especially with Script Shuffler, and have some difficulties. But, once you've got the life spell, it's just fun, yeah, to pop him in one go and be done with him.
And speaking of items that aren't go mode but are very nice to have, that's the Gaia armor. Oh, here. It's saving 10 is like 20 seconds ahead already because
Yep.
he had exit.
Yep. The guy armor, the best armor you can get in the game, gonna be very something the runners are very happy to see. And interestingly enough, that Gemini crest, since Aquarius is on the table, means that we have out of logic access to the Fireberg area now, or wherever the Fireberg town is. Excuse me. So if that ends up in the Wakewater area or either of the two coin areas, the runners are now going to be able to access that without having whatever coin is associated. Now, this is an out of logic play, so it could be risky. It could lead them away from the items the game is expecting them to get. But at the very least, it's going to allow Tin here to check Tristram 2, buy seeds, check another shop, get a lot of things, and then he could immediately go back to on path sort of routing if you wanted to.
Just the basic version of an axe from Tristram 2, so not a big advantage sending him forward immediately. And Possum just isn't going to the Sand Temple. I think he's chosen something to fade.
At this point, he doesn't want to walk back into Bone Dungeon with 2 more blue battle tiles right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that before he leaves this area. But with that Gemini crest, still he might get pulled away further and just also decide to sort of go check out Fireberg. Although, because Tristan's quest resolves finally in Fireberg, I would be surprised to see Possum completely leave it on the table. See, yeah, just axes and fireworks to no value. It looks like Tin picked up the meteor spell along the way and is using that to great effect on these Spinos here to clear another battle tile.
Oh, and there's the Dragon Claw, another item for Go mode. I think all we need all we need at this point is the Thunder Rock and the Captain's Cap.
Yes, all we need are the two items that can be absolutely anywhere. But that is very exciting. In addition to, we'll need the Sun Coin to access the Windier region. We're also going to need 24 shards, which at this point, I would guess the runners have maybe 10% of. So we're still looking at a lot more. But knowing that, yeah, so much of Go mode is already attained for the runners, kind of a blessing and a curse. Every dungeon is on the table now. Whatever they run into is potentially completely illogic for them. So, present some interesting choices on where do you decide to go.
Honestly, Possum's probably just going to do whatever's in front of him when he gets to it and not worry about, like, going out of logic or the additional gating. He's been a big fan of going and just doing what's in front of him and making sure he's done everything available to him before moving on.
Definitely, as we see right here with him just charging right up Volcano to take on this Medusa while he's in the region. Medusa, one of the more status-heavy bosses in sort of vanilla that you have to deal with. In this case, we'll see what her and her dogs sort of have to throw out. We do have decent spells. Not the most power, although Possum, yeah, doesn't have white, I think, at this point, because he didn't have Tristram. I'm not sure
He does have
exactly where
Meteor.
the meteor spell is. Okay, so he does have that. That could be something that, yeah, he
I
utilized.
think he has Meteor. I'm pretty sure it was very along the way.
Yeah, considering how early 10 picked it up, I think it was probably in one of those battle tiles or something easy to grab in the Aquaria region.
Also, check this. 10's going up Mount Gale. He's going to fight Dullahan.
Well, this is a Phoebe quest, so he'll immediately, if he can take it down, this is white on the table for him. For Phoebe, he'll be as powered up as he really needs to be on his companion to finish out the game. And so if he never finds mine, he's not worried about it. This boss, however, very strong. One of the last bosses you fight in vanilla, generally has a boatload of HP, hits pretty hard. But as far as what's going to reward Tin the most right now, this is probably the best play, I think, to get him sort of powered up for that end game that he knows is rapidly approaching.
It just dawned on me that the Sun Coin is logically always required.
Yeah. Well, yes, logically always required. If Windia or one of the other towns ends up in that region, you could always crest there. But yeah, the game will expect you to have it. So Possum rewarded by fighting Medusa. We know that the Fireberg town is in the River Coin area, but Possum has now gotten access to the Windia region. So very interesting to see what he'll find over there. We know what it won't be at this point, but we haven't seen exactly what's over there and what the rewards will be. Be very interesting if Thunder Rock Captain's Cap are somehow very easily accessible over there, sort of splitting up where these Go mode items are.
Oh, and Possum almost forgetting a freebie. Oh!
With the exit
No, he set
yes,
up exit. Okay, that makes more sense, actually. I've never thought to do this.
Don't forget it. But yeah, if you do have exit, because the way exit works, it takes you back to the last overworld tile or overworld location you were at. So yeah, leaving and then dipping back in saves you one hallway walk. It's almost even in time because of exit animation and how long before you gain re-control of your character. But definitely a heads up play. We love using that spell. Exit, you have it, you want to use it just as much as you can, really, and try to eke out all these seconds over the race.
Yeah, and this is the great thing about like watching people who are better than me at the game race is not that I'm gonna learn big things about the game and how it works, but just like the little tricks that they have just memorized and employ on their own without saying anything or thinking about it.
Definitely, you'd think sometimes a game as distilled and simple, sort of as Mystic Quest is, wouldn't have a ton of these little texts. But then you get into it and you find out that there are a lot of little things you can do to optimize time, and it's very exciting. Yeah, to see them implement those and learn from it. Well,
There's the Thunder Rock.
all right. Well, we're 10 minutes delayed, so there's no way to sort of commentator curse. That already happened for Possum, but we'll see if the captain's cap is somewhere over here, and then I'll
Right here.
feel a little witchy.
But the Thunder Rock, once they find Windia, does open up a check that is only accessible with the Thunder Rock, the vanilla Morbius Crest chest.
Yes, and without Wakewater also allows you to access Spencer, so a check that can potentially be achieved one of two ways, and could be interesting to see. Yeah, if they end up finding Wendy, I'm not sure if we saw it already on 10 screen or not. I think maybe we did. Maybe it's up there in that River Coin area. If it's not, it's gated behind Wakewater. The Libra Crest, we know where Libra Temple is. That's one thing 10 can quickly check. It looks like he's going to return to sort of the logical area of the game and see what else is there.
Yeah, and it looks like there wasn't anything as far as progression from uh, from Dullahan other than the upgrade for Phoebe.
No, well, the Libra Crest, yeah, we could see something come out of that, but yeah, nothing yet. Definitely not that cap that we know now is the only thing between these runners and Go mode, aside from their shards and levels, probably. I'm sure the runners at this point want at least a few more. Generally, 16 plus is what you're looking at to fight the Dark King. And on these flags, that still can be a chore. The Dark King with Script Shuffle can roll some very mean abilities, and you want to sort of go in as well stocked up as you can on both health and items, I feel like.
And here's 10 continuing with his sort of out of logic shenaniganry. Taking the freebies in Pazuzu's tower. I'm not sure if he's in as good a position to maybe fight the bird, but he can set it up.
If he picked up Arrow, which I think he did, and Meteor, with White on Phoebe, he could give it a shot if he wanted to. I think, though, he is kind of hitting those areas of density right now, trying to get as many of these checks out of the way as possible and collect shards. Although we know that he's not going to be able to get to that windier region until he turns in or decides to go back and fight Medusa. And considering that the Thunder Rock is over there, that could be a lot of time for Possum to sort of make up ground and get back all this exploration in the Firebird region that 10 has already done.
Did 10 lock floor 6? Like, it's clear now that he didn't need to because the bird isn't on 4 or 5.
I'm not sure. If he didn't peak 5 when walking up, it's generally the safe bet to go ahead and lock 6 in case he is on 5 when you're going down, or 4. But I'm not sure if he did make that detour or not. I was not watching very closely. But that is how I try to approach it. If I don't peek on 5, which requires walking around the staircase that takes you up to 7, uh, then I will try to just lock on 6 on my way down to sort of guarantee that I don't have to just do a little bit of double backing for 4 and 6, or 4 and 5, excuse me.
Oh, and here's Windia. We can turn in. Well, they have the Morbius crest. They could even go and check what's on the boat. I'm not sure if Possum would because it's kind of a gambler's play. But
You know that is a play that gets talked about a lot. The boat can have cap. The boat can, in fact, have several of the go mode items depending on logic. It can have the Dragon Claw, I believe. It can have, it can't have the Mobius crest, but it can have that cap. So it could be
yeah.
something that if Possum's feeling spicy, just checks out now. It is early enough that I think it wouldn't be just an absolute no, I'm not going to do this play.
Oh, and there's Arrow from the multi key, which Possum, even though he has the multi key, he took the optional route of going and.
Yes, he didn't have his claw, I think, when he was in Fireburg initially, so couldn't go down the little, the little climbing pathway to get to that room, and got it after he left Fireburg. So it was sort of like, oh, but then it ended up being a non-issue because of the backwards path he was able to take. All right, we're going to see these 2 checks are very important for Possum. If either one's cap, we'll know where everything is. And we do see on 10 side going up against Medusa, which we know is going to reward him with that Sun coin, which is required. Whew.
Ooh, the Wake Water.
That is very interesting. Now, the Wake Water is going to open up that entire ice blocked off area, which is going to be, a check, a free check in the back of Focus Tower, as well as a check if you have the Venus key like 10 does. Back there, as well as whatever battle tiles are back there. And I believe we did see a dungeon, and there's a blue tile, a blue tile cave, and an encounter tile back there. So there could be something in that tile that's important. We have a
the chest
question
next
from
to
chat.
Spencer was locked by the Venus key that Possum doesn't have. 10 has it, so when he goes there, he's gonna open it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when he gets there.
Yeah, that's the same box that's next to Spencer underneath Aquaria. And so, yeah, if you don't have that Venus key, unfortunately, its contents are not yours quite yet. And so, oftentimes, yeah, you'll see runners sort of just leave it behind and be sad because they know they're going to have to probably go back to it at some point. Awesome, pushing for Phoebe 4. Beating Jen with Mega Grenades in hand will allow him to free Ruben's dad, and that is all that's required to push Phoebe to her, well, that's her 4th quest, pardon. This will give Possum level 34 Phoebe. So, interesting if he decides to go fight that Dullahan, he'll have 41, or he can decide not to, and still have access to the Swipe spell.
Yeah, and something I find interesting about the randomizer is that by the time you get to Jin, you usually have enough power that unless you actually had to, unless your power was the Mega Grenades and you had to make heavy use of them, it is not worthwhile to set up the elevator storage, the Jin skip.
A lot of times, right, we saw right there, it took, maybe 3 rounds of combat for Possum to defeat Jin at this point. Elevator skip. Definitely an interesting piece of technology if you have no bombs and you walk in a certain area and press a certain direction and press A, yeah, it'll, instead of giving you the bomb animation, it gives you the elevator animation, so it allows you to sort of slide through the world a little bit, and you can you sneak into that doorway behind Jen without fighting him. It's fun. I've tried it a few times and managed to soft lock myself. So, definitely make a save if you're going to try it at home, or unless you're very good. Now, 10 being a runner of the vanilla speed run, it's something he's done quite a bit, I believe, because that is tech that they utilize in that speed run. So something he is well familiarized with.
All right, I was wondering if Possum was gonna go fight Gidra, or if he was just checking the first floor for seeds or for shards, and there's our answer. He doesn't want to deal with Gidra. Gidra's a
That
chimera, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, big old Chimera, one of the other bosses the runners try to fade a lot. It's a long walk up there, a slow dungeon to navigate through because you need to switch between your sword, claw, and axe. It's better in these settings than perhaps in some of the others, and certainly better than in a vanilla game due to some quality of life improvements regarding the number of mushrooms along your path. But yeah, still something people tend to fade, and I think at this point, Possum has enough other places. Ah, so you spoke it into existence. We see 10 right now draining his Mega Bomb, setting up for that elevator skip that you just spoke about.
I'm not entirely sure it's gonna save him the time here. I suppose we can go back and like after it all time how long. Wait, is he gonna show
He's
off?
saving one
He
for
saved
this
one for
door.
that. He didn't need to though.
That's true, but you're going to use it anyway, so you don't need to
Oh
waste
right,
it. While
yeah.
he could have saved two, hit both of these up, and saved himself a tiny bit of time. But yeah, not necessarily needed, as you pointed out. At this point, they have plenty of power to break down Jin. But with Script Shuffle, they never know how mean Jin's going to be. So it could be a play he felt was necessary, or at the very least, he wanted to show off on stream since he knows how to do.
All right, and with the river coin in hand, 10 is now back in logic. He
Yes.
um, Possum skipped that mine bomb box. I don't know what's in there in vanilla.
I don't know either. And yeah, interesting that Possum skipped that. I wonder if he was focused on the Aryan quest for Phoebe. And with Exit, Exit can sometimes be a spell that causes you to leave dungeons early. I am one who could speak to that a little bit, unfortunately, and maybe miss an important check. So hopefully that's not what happened, and he deliberately faded that, and will plan on coming back.
And there it is. By taking the elevator north of Jin, going 2 tiles to the right and 1 tile up, then throwing your bombs, you get moved backwards enough so that with two mega bomb throws, you're right above the door behind Jin and can go pick up Ruben's checks and save Arian.
Yeah, excellent showcase of that technology. I appreciate seeing it, even if it didn't necessarily save time. But it's always nice to see these sort of advanced techs that the runners have picked up, either from running it vanilla or just practicing as much as many have on the rando, and seeing sort of what they can do to eke out whatever time they feel like they need to, over the course of the seed. It's still very interesting, right? We've had access to the whole world for a while, but the runners don't have exactly the same things. That Venus key on 10 side could end up mattering. There's two checks gated
Possum
by that.
has.
Oh, he did get it.
He
All right.
just opened up the one in the back focus tower.
He must not have had it then when he was there earlier. I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but that's excellent then. Now heading into ice, this dungeon gated by wake water, full of enemies that he can now see because of the mirror, so it's not going to be quite the chore to navigate as it could be otherwise. But lots of checks here. The ice drop down, known for having some value from time to time. And otherwise there are several checks in here as well as plenty of shards.
Yep. And with the flare spell in hand, the boss at the end of this dungeon is going to be pretty easy. He's weak. He takes about 4,000 damage from each of your flares, and he's got about 8,000 hit points or 6,000 hit points. It's usually 2 flares and occasionally a supplemental spell from your partner.
Yeah, the ice golem, just a big old ice cube. melts very quickly to the flare spell. It's fun to watch, honestly, because you don't typically get to do that much damage to a boss when you're set up. And we see Ruben's dad handing out 3 heal potions, not the reward 10 wanted from having skipped the Jin fight, I think. A little sad.
Also, a big thing about the Ice Palace is it's got a lot of brown chests, which get usurped by shards of the Sky Coin. A lot of opportunities for the sort of not quite so easy to see progression that our runners need.
Definitely. A lot of stuff on the side paths that you can see while you're going down the main path and allows you to make a decision if you want to come back in and loot them out. And yeah, like you said, lots of boxes, especially like this room we'll see here, that can get turned into those sky shards, and the runners need plenty of them to complete a seed.
Yeah, and one of the great things about like the Shattered Sky Coin in Mystic Quest Randomizer is that when one of the brown chests gets replaced with a shard of the Sky Coin, it goes from being one of those brown pots to a red chest, and you know that it's got something you need.
Exactly. In these settings, we've got original key items are prioritized. So all the key items for the game, the original game, all these progression items are going to just be shuffled between their vanilla spots. So you know exactly like you said, that any red chest that isn't one of those is going to hold one of those sky coin shards that you need to get through the seed.
Also, the Venus key chest in Spencer's place has the Aegis shield, which Ten just picked up, and it's not likely at this point that Possum's going to go back for it. I think he might have picked up the Venus shield. I don't know. He doesn't have it marked. So I might be wrong and seeing double.
Right, I believe I saw it. I'm not sure which runner picked that up, but yeah, the Aegis Shield, very nice item to have. Right now, you can rocking all 3 of the upgraded, max upgraded armor set items. That Apollo Helm, the Gaia armor, and that Aegis Shield. It looks like I think we've only seen that charm right there. Oh, Possum just got the Cupid Locket, the final upgrade for the accessory slot. Something you want to see. The runners have a good amount of defense available to them in this seed right now. Still hunting for that cap. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the boat. You know, we still have the Tree Wither chain somewhere out there, and whatever miscellaneous bosses the runners haven't fought. But there's not a lot else out there. We're quickly running out of places that this cap can be hiding. We see Possum finally heading back for the Tristram set of checks. We know don't provide a ton of value in the end, just I believe the white spell and an so, could have faded it and never would have been bad.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of what they've got available right now. It's Hydra and the boat and Gidra.
Hydra, the boat, Gidra. I think Possum still has Dullahan as well on the table, and Pazuzu is still out there for both runners.
Yeah, of all those options, honestly, the boat feels like
None
the
of
best
them.
one.
Yeah, I agree. In this situation, I know that sounds remarkable maybe, but the boat is the fastest I think of those options to quickly check your cap. You know, you may have to make that trip twice, but you're not gonna have to fight a boss. You can shore up your levels on some encounters, get whatever shards are on the boat, see what you need, leave. And in this case, with Tree Wither gating potentially something still out there, that could also be on the boat and be required. So,
Yeah, Possum's doing Dullahan now. Probably
yep,
prioritizing the check that also will make his companion stronger, which makes sense.
exactly.
Um,
It's
this was
also
the Luthor
fairly
crest,
quick,
right?
really. It was, which I don't think led to anything of note.
It's got the cat claw.
Oh yeah, that's definitely nothing of note at this point. The runners fed Dragon Claw for so long. Gonna be a little sad to see that, but won't be sad to have a level 41 Phoebe under his belt like Ten has had here. The highest level you can get her through quest. She's gonna have a boatload of HP, and maybe be able to resist or deal with whatever sort of damage Dark King is gonna put out all by herself in some situations.
Also, like a small thing about 10 having set up for Gen Skip is that you can still use Mega Bombs for world progression when you don't have any bombs, and it doesn't play the animation, so you save a second or two every time you need to bomb something when you've used all your bombs.
That's very true. Another little piece of vanilla speedrun tech 10 bringing out for this race. Yeah, if you don't have bombs, no animation plays, but the doorways will still open for you. The holes will still collapse, as we saw. And yeah, makes it a little faster to get through things. That's very interesting. I wonder if 10 had that in mind, since he knew that there were enough things that bombs would open still to do. Possum with that Libra crest, gonna go back and get unrewarded with the cat claw. Not rewarded at the very least. Not what he wants. Still just looking for a cap for both runners. Immediately resetting. Yeah. Smart to leave save scums. That's something that I am still working on. Because of the travel time between the various areas, if you were chasing down one of these fetch quest items, or even just a check that only has one item behind it, leave saves. It will save you time. And we do see Possum heading for the boat.
This makes 100% sense. I know Possum hates. I know he absolutely despises the tree. Like, I've
Yeah.
never heard him say a good thing about going into the tree. I don't think I ever will.
Other than saying it's better on these, yeah, it's just not a play that you want to make. Especially, I mean, maybe if he was short a bunch of shards, but I think at this point he has enough that he's feeling the want to. Oh,
There's another
dive
reason
the
so he
tree.
doesn't have to exit out and get back all the way. That's nice. That's safe. That's smart.
Yeah, definitely. He knows how many shards are there on the path, so he can sort of do that math as he's checking other things. But that is certainly not what he wanted to be at the bottom of the boat. It is a hat. Unfortunately, Mac would not accept it to allow us to pilot his boat.
Yeah, even Mac knows it's a terrible hat.
We see 10 making the exact same call, down to just about, if not the exact same bosses as Possum. And I agree, making the boat plates better than what's left out there.
And here's Possum coming back to the Squidite that he skipped early because he didn't have a claw when he got the Phoebe Wintery Cave check.
That's true, and I'm not sure what this rewarded 10 either. I'll be sad if it was the Charm Claw.
It was not the Charm Claw. It was a white magic spell of Little Note.
Oh, like
Heal.
heal or cure? Yeah. Those, heal can be handy. Heal does allow you to paralyze enemies that are weak to it, like Dullahan, but in general, not a fantastic spell. If you have life available, you're probably going to be using that instead. We see that Pazuzu was on floor 1 the entire time. Well, this is fantastic. Once floor 2 is locked, you can just leave, come back in, and fight him, and we're going to see what the Jerkbird has in store for 10 tonight.
It always like stuns me a little because 10 plays with the music shuffle. So it's playing this, it's playing the end credits theme while he's fighting like one of the hardest bosses in the game.
Right, it's a very peaceful tune for such a difficult fight, not to be expected. I forget that Tin does that until moments like this arise, because so much of the music is good and I don't mind. sort of what's running behind, and I'm just grooving through the seed. But seeing and getting to listen to the in-game credits here on Pazuzu is pretty nice. All right, so Possum decided tree over bird, tree over dual head. I wonder if the number of shards that are still out there that he needs played into this, or knowing that 10 is likely to fade this just as long, if not longer, than Possum. They've each made their choice at this point as far as which is the least stinky check for me. And we'll see soon who gets rewarded, if either of them, since the dual head could still have what we need.
Yeah, I think if the dual head has what we need, that's going to be absolutely dead last for both runners.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see Hydra put off until the very end at this point. The runners have already dipped into Lava Dome with those mega grenades. You want to try to, revisit places as little as possible, as much as you can. Sometimes the seeds don't make that easy, but yeah, I think Dual Head will be our last boss scene tonight if we do see all of them.
Ooh, the Night Sword. That is, womp womp.
Not what 10 wanted there, the Knight Sword, just the middle sword upgrade, and they've had Excalibur for a good amount of time now. So, what is his next choice, I wonder?
Looks like it's dual head. We're both wrong.
This is exciting, though, because if he gets the dual head at the same time Possum is fighting Ghidra, we'll get to see, I think, every boss in the game and what they have. So we will definitively know. It may not be immediate value. It might be that tree wither and force them to sort of go do another quest chain. But this will be very interesting. Yeah, one of these is the play, right? So we'll see which one it is.
You know what we
Chat
haven't
pointing out
seen?
something wonderful. Chat pointing out both to be required. In the case that one gives the tree wither and the other gives the elixir, and the captain's cap is behind said elixir, that would be magnificent, and I honestly hope that's what happens at this point.
Possum
Now that
has the
that's been
elixir.
pointed out. Oh, does he? Okay, then I think perhaps not. That would have been a wonderful chain.
Though, if what Possum's getting right now is the tree wither, he's probably going to continue to avoid, well, luckily for him, avoid Pazuzu, and perhaps unluckily for him, avoid dual head, depending on what we see from it.
Yeah,
Or it
oh,
can be Cap and he's in go mode.
all right, the tree play paid off. 10 not going to be rewarded here. Probably going to get that tree wither, actually, and have to chase something else unless tree wither is perhaps on in the Doom Castle chest. I'm not sure where our. No, our Zonk was Ruben's dad, so it could be in Doom Castle or here at Hydra that this tree wither is, or whatever else is potentially lingering out there. But I think we've seen everything now. So Possum, knowing how many shards are on boat, may already have all 24, or at the very least knows that, the one or two he saw on boat are going to be enough. Heading down level 17 with the 41 Phoebe, does look like he's going to stop to take some levels. It makes sense, 20 is the great range, the most you're probably going to aim for because of the number of wizard spell charges you get. But 18, often a number the runners will be happy with going in with the number of HP that Ben gets. Re-picking up the steel helmets. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it's kind of a a throw it in his face play, you know, like steel helm.
Right.
Fine, I'll take it.
The wrong hat.
Hats are important, and the right hat is important.
Right? You need the right hat for the job in order to pilot that boat. Specifically, you need a captain's cap. And we do see the tree wither here from Hydra. Unfortunately, that is going to probably send 10 away from doing the tree for just a little while longer while he checks these checks before he's finally back on route to where we know that cap is.
Yeah. Also, Possum checked the Doom Castle chest for life. Uh, he's not gonna find it there. That was the mask, and I'm guessing that just leaves the Tree Wither Elixir quest, right? To have life.
Oh yeah, if we haven't seen life, that's a potentially interesting thing. Life, a spell you're gonna want to have in most cases. Now we do have 41 Phoebe, so a little more safety than general going in here. But if Phoebe goes down and you don't have life, that could just spell a wipe. So this could be a point of divergence if the Dark King plays particularly rude. The fire spell from that tree wither. Not what 10 wanted to see there. I believe he's going to go ahead and follow this elixir chain through, go back to Windia before he ultimately realizes he has to go and finish the tree.
Oh, remembering here, it was nice of him to remember that by defeating just the Moonhelm. Rude, not even life. Wait, where's life then?
Life can be in Doom Castle.
It wasn't. It was the mask.
Oh, maybe they have it then already. 10,
Oh, 10 has
chat
life.
saying
Okay.
10 has it. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. If we've seen everything, they've got to have it at this point. It's just we don't have spells marked on our on-screen tracker. I know because there's just you don't want to see 51 things for the tracker to have to check over the course of the seed. So it'll be interesting. I'm sure at this point, Possum also has. We've seen them pretty much do everything, unless it was something beyond Hydra that Possum had left on the table. Heading into that tree. We know this will reward 10 with the cap after he, makes his way through and fights Ghidra at the end. Dark King so far not being super rude. Already into phase 2. Outside of that Aegis Shield, Possum having maximum defense and resistances, so there's only so many things. I think sleep could trip him up a little bit here if it hits Benjamin. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's petrification on that Aegis Shield.
Yeah, it's petrification on the Aegis Shield, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Possum. Yeah, you have to play Dark King incredibly defensively when you don't have life, because if you lose your companion, it's a wipe.
It's the baby. I love getting to see all the sprites that we have for the Dark King randomization, especially since they get 2 of them each. We have Phase 3 and Phase 4 for each one, and getting to see how they transform as the Dark King is close to defeat, and ultimately as powered up as he'll get is always exciting. You gotta feel sad having to defeat some of these enemies in the tree with the power that you do, knowing that they are Foresta level enemies, so they have, a tiny, tiny amount of HP.
Yeah, and like 10 used all his bombs, so he can't just bomb them to not have to seed before Ghidra.
That's unfortunate. A little cathartic than maybe destroying them along the way with white.
Yeah. I don't think level 41 Phoebe will always outspeed Dark King, which is a little annoying, but she usually will. I think his speed is randomized within the same range as the HP is randomized, right?
I believe so, yeah. So it's very likely that she is going to outspeed him. And speaking of, that is game one for Possum. 52-49. It looks like fantastic run. The tree play paying off. I wish kind of the boat play had been a little more exciting earlier in the seed, but a fantastic run, showing just how close these runners are. Really, it came down to one check at the end, sort of the deciding factor. Hydra versus Ghidra, with not much else, if anything, on the table for either of them, and they completed it all in 50 some odd minutes.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very close to a full clear for 10. It is incredibly quick. He's just like it is remarkable just how quickly these seeds can go.
Definitely, we did get a lot of early power and go mode items, as well as that exit spell, which is probably the biggest factor as far as overall time on a seed like this. Early exit, it shaves just so much off in every step, early, mid, and late game. That you love to see it as a runner. You're destined probably for something around the hour range or less, even if you have to clear out most of the seed. I feel like. And definitely, these runners showing off how to use exit throughout the seed and how to just clear through a ton of the game's content in very quick times. Yep, 10, seeing the empty steel helm chest. I can't imagine he's going to have too much difficulty at this Dark King fight. He is one level above where Possum was, and he does have that Aegis shield on top. So if anything, he's a little more prepared. And we didn't see a lot of difficulty come out of Dark King for Possum.
Yeah, this will be very textbook. The fight. Ten's about to. He's just gonna wipe the floor with Dark King, honestly.
Definitely, blink and you might miss it really with how quickly this Dark King is likely to go down. We've got Flare, we've got White, we have a ton of spell charges available to us, especially on Phoebe. And yes, to answer a question in chat, yeah, we're doing a triple header. So after this match is complete, which will be surely here in just a couple minutes, we're going to have a short break. We're going to do a little bit of comp switch up, I believe. And then the runners will be taking game two. And then if 10 takes that one, after that, another break. And then game three, which would be very exciting. We've only had one game series so far in the round of 16 that went to all three matches. So I would love to see this one sort of take it all the way as well to finish out the round.
Also, Phase 1 has one of the attacks from, I think, Phase 2 Vanilla that does over 800 damage. So the extra level didn't matter.
That is a little spicy, yeah. That ability, Thunderblade or whatever it's called, yeah, one of Dark King's phase two abilities when he gets all the arms, it definitely can do a lot of damage. Luckily, our Phoebe has a lot of HP to work with, and that would just been less so. A lot of abilities are just going to one shot him. Sometimes that's better than him taking slightly more than 50%, though. Getting to see a lot of 10s quick menuing there, spamming through these text boxes and quickly shifting between the spells he needs to cast. Definitely something that can save time. You know, you've got to scroll up and down through the spell list and left and right, sort of switch what tiers and which spell you're casting. And knowing how to do that quickly, you know, adds up over the course of a siege as well, especially in the Dark King fight where you're frequently switching between sort of manual healing and doing it a little more offense damage. Yeah, Corrode, able to dish out a lot of damage, maybe more than he wants to see. Definitely slowing down his ability to just sort of push damage as much as he would like, I'm sure. Continuing just amazes me sometimes, seeing it, how quickly he's able to switch and know how to like navigate between exactly what spell and exactly what item he's trying to use. Definitely something, you know, the years of vanilla speedrun tech have taught him. We finally see phase 4. I don't think it's going to take much longer. I know Possums was a very quick affair once he got to this point.
And there it is, very, very thin phase 4, 10 just coming in under the hour. Neither of them is going to be joining us for an interview because they're going right into game 2. Well, almost right into game 2. There will be a short break and they'll be going into game 2.
Right, yeah, a little intermission, let them, you know, probably get a drink, you know, take a breath, get set up for the next race, and then, yeah, that'll be going live here in about 10-15 minutes, probably. The commentators are going to switch a bit. I believe, Scar, you're going to stick around, but I'm going to dip out and let Sorbius take over for the next 2 matches while I take a break and enjoy these from the sideline, I think.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me.
It was my pleasure. It's always excellent to cast for this. This is a wonderful randomizer, a wonderful community, and this tournament has been a lot of fun so far, and looking to be just even more fun going forward. So everybody stick around. We're going to have 2 more matches, well, 1 more match at least, potentially 2 more matches coming up here in just a little bit. I am Fried Potato, and I will see you all later.